Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
After hours, CBS Sports Radio. Zach Gelb in for Amy on a Friday morning. Coming up at 5 a.m. Eastern time, Chris Broussard is going to join us. So the other day I was talking about the NBA draft lottery, or I should say yelling about the NBA draft lottery, and I thought it was an absolute disgrace, and it was just ridiculous. It was a waste of time, and ESPN and the NBA should be embarrassed by it. So I went on this rant, and I was pretty annoyed about it. And let me just set up the scene for you. Before I returned from the commercial break, the board operator got in my ear and said, which is fine. You know, that's what happens. We have to communicate here in this business. Hey, Zach, make sure you get to the Geico read before the end of the segment. So I was planning on getting to the Geico read. Then he got up I have a screen here, and he could type to me. So he gets on the screen, and in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points, Geico, Geico. And then in the middle of my rant, Brian Jack McKeon started jumping up and down and saying, you got to get to the read. You got to get to the read. And that's when I lost it. And I said, I'm a professional broadcaster. So it made the rounds a little bit here. I heard it on Taz and the Moose. Heard it on a few other shows on CBS Sports Radio. And down the hall on WFAN and the CBS Sports Network, Boomer and Gio were talking about it. So let's hear what the former morning host here on CBS Sports Radio and Greg Giannotti, and everyone knows Boomer Esiason, everyone's favorite quarterback, had to say about my rant on their morning show.
It is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. There's a lot of times where I'll walk in the building and I'll see people and they ask me, did you hear this? Did you hear this? You got to hear this. So yesterday was one of those days, and we didn't get to it yesterday because we had all the guests, great guests on with Keith Hernandez and David Wells. So I heard it, and I said, well, what's so special about this? Why do I have to hear this? You know, I'm busy. And they said, well, we've got someone here who's turning into a diva.
Oh, boy.
And I said, who? I mean, I guess that happens. I said, well, who is this? And they said that it was Zach Gelb. Now, Zach Gelb is a kid I really like. I've been following his career. He is the son of Bob Gelb, who works here, does a really, really good job. I watched him when he was like 12 years old, and he started doing these shows on the internet, and now he's grown up to have some shows on CBS Sports Radio on the weekend.
He's basically doing it the right way.
Program director, he's worked his ass off.
Yes, kind of like you.
Yeah, so that's why I respect it, all right? That's why I respect it. So they played me some audio of Zach Gelb's filling in for Amy Lawrence on an overnight on CBS Sports Radio, and he starts hammering his board operator because apparently the board operator was telling him he needed to get a read in. He needed to get a live read in. It was very important. So you're not going to hear the board operator's voice. The board operator talked in the headset of Zach Gelb, and Zach, who has been here for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he wasn't having any
3 months. That draft lottery was terrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen on television. Heck, my mother, since I'm staying at my parents' house this week because I'm filling in New York and I live in Philadelphia, my mother walked in the room. I see the read. I'll get to the read. I'm in a rant right now. Don't tell me to get to the read. I'm a professional broadcaster. I'll get to it. All right? McKeon's jumping up and down. Get to the read. I'll get to the read before we go to the break. My mother walks in the room and she goes, this thing's still going on? She goes, this is not good television.
So he goes from
855-212-4CBS. Josh Towers is going to join us at the top of the hour. I get that out of my system. All right. Are you ready, McKeon? This will be the greatest read in the history of radio.
He's a professional broadcaster.
Put my mic on!
I mean, jeez, he's learning from the best there,
He
huh?
actually has learned.
Put my mic on!
Exactly.
I love he goes from screaming at this guy, and then my mother walks in. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm a professional broadcaster. I'll get to it already. What is he, 23 years old?
That's all right. He's learned from being around.
Put my mic on!
He knows what's working.
I'll get to the read.
Yeah, he saw his father beaten down. So why not?
Yeah, for those who don't know, his dad, Bob Gelb, was the original producer of Mike and the Mad Dog. So yeah, he watched that, thinks that it's okay. I'll get to the read already!
Put my mic on!
Professional broadcaster! I know how to get to the read.
Shame on all of you.
That's the way he's learning. It's a whole generation of people that think that that's all right.
Cycle of violence continues.
Yeah,
Yes, it does. Yes, it
cycle
does.
of life. So true.
I mean, I think Zach is a pretty good kid. He seems to be.
He is.
They all
well-adjusted.
start out as pretty good kids.
He's funny. He seems to have a very good personality and
Yeah.
seems like to laugh at himself a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a little over the top.
Nah, it was just a good rant. But I do appreciate Boomer and Gio talking about it. Good stuff, and I appreciate the kind words. I always do like those two, and they've been very benevolent to me in my career. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. People think I just yell at everyone on staff now. Like, you ask anyone that works with me, I'm nice. I talk to the tape operators. People don't even talk to the tape operators here. I put them on the credits at the end of the show.
Snowball.
And the thing was with McKeon, he was just saying it excessively. You know, tell me once, I'll do it. You don't have to tell me 6-7 times like he was. So everyone has to make an opinion about this. This guy, Joe Baboots Kersey, who used to work in radio and now runs a day camp, he tweeted me, said, this guy has been on air for 3 minutes and he's yelling at his producer like he's in the Talkers 100. Lucky for him, I wasn't his producer because he wouldn't have survived the rest of the show. Put my mic on! I would have devoured you, Joe Kersey, like a little meatball, because you are a little meatball. I would have devoured you. I like Joe, but come on. Don't act like a tough guy. Mraz got annoyed at him, though. He said, shame on me for taking Baboots' bait here, DA's producer, but I have to. Either stay in the business or don't. You bailed for a day camp. Don't come at someone with lucky for him I wasn't his producer. Yeah, you aren't, because you don't work in the industry anymore. How about Mraz
Look at that.
doing a Taz wrestling move, top rope, slamming Baboots, devouring the meatball?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
Sean
meatball
and the
hero.
meatballs.
I could go for a meatball hero right now. I'm pretty hungry, by the way.